Black preachers were in the pulpit this Sunday trashing the bill that Donald Trump signed into law on July 4th. We're going to play for you three of those pastors. Pastor William Lamar, of course, here, Metropolitan in Washington, D.C. Pastor Reverend Dr. Frederick Haynes, Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, Jamal Bryant. Here's what all three told their congregations on Sunday.
In Central Texas now, body bags. People swept 20 miles down river, homes destroyed, dead dreams, and strangled hope. Violent wind ripped Job and Mrs. Job's children away from their loving bosom. Swelling floodwaters snatched away lives in Central Texas. These awful occurrences we call natural disasters. But let me tell you about another disaster, man-made, conceived and constructed by malevolent, misanthropic, cowardly, and unjust members of our own species. Brought to you by persons elected in this country. A meal plated with the garnish of death, topped with the special sauces of skillful deception, rhetorical mendacity, and policy sleight of hand. The winds killed the 10 children of Job and Mrs. Job. The flood snatched the lives away of precious ones in Central Texas, and this human-caused disaster may end up taking 51,000 lives in this nation, according to the University of Pennsylvania. Americans at the bottom 20% of all earners will see their annual after-tax incomes fall by 2.5%, and the top 20% will see a 2.4% boost. This is human-conceived devastation. $560 in losses for someone who reports little or no income by 2034, and more than $118,000 in gains for someone making over $3 million. Human design devastation. A person making $217,000 or more annually would receive a $12,500 tax cut. Someone making $35,000 or less would see only $150 of savings. Human designed misery. Medicaid. 70 million of us on Medicaid. Dana and I were listening to the radio, and there are people who say around this nation they hate Medicaid, and they ain't even got sense enough to know that they're on it. Because each and every state calls it something different. But these people who want to racialize poverty and say that somebody is taking, they are the very ones who have nothing without Medicaid. Medicaid, the government's health care program for low-income folk, will be cut by $1 trillion. Forcing maybe 17 million people off its roll. This is necropolitics. The politics of death. This is human-designed death. More than 3 million will lose food stamps while Whitey is going to Mars. Nutrition subsidies will be destroyed, and 17 million children will lose food out of their mouths while rich people buy bigger and bigger yachts. This is damnable evil. And human-caused pain. I laugh at these so-called deficit hawks who really just don't want to spend money on anybody that's poor. but will write themselves a check whenever they get the notion. National debt will increase by $4.1 trillion. This is a human malfeasance of duty. While I did not agree with everything that Barack Hussein Obama did, when he put Obamacare in place, he paid for it. And these evil lawmakers and their evil puppet master will drive up national debt, give your grandchildren a credit card so they can play on private islands. Hundreds of rural hospitals will be hard hit. 1/4 of nursing homes will close. Human-caused abuse of the poor and the elderly. And can I tell you right now, Mike Johnson is in church. Can I tell you right now, Mitch McConnell has been wheeled into somebody's church on government-paid health care that keeps his evil behind from going underneath the dirt. They are in church. Winds killing us. Floods killing us. Legislation killing us.
Every now and then, I get tired of seeing wrong winning. Every now and then, I begin to question and get upset with God because I wonder if God sees what's going on, if God cares about what's going on. I'm still not coming through. I'll make it real plain. In a real sense, my sisters and brothers, it happens, and it happens on repeat. This past week, we watched in this country as this big, beautiful bill is now signed into law, and it will have ugly and unjust consequences. It is lethal legislation. It is a bill that kills. And watch this. This bill that kills, the Republicans are so dirty and slick that they made sure that it will not go into effect until after the midterm elections. And so people are going to get caught up in what tax returns they get and somehow conclude that this was a beautiful bill, but the ugly consequences are soon to come. And y'all, when they passed it, here's what messed me up. There were those who had the nerve to get up and read their edited Bible, and they read their edited Bible in order to justify the injustice that they were perpetrating. Have you thought about the fact that they have been so determined to kill Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act that as a result of them murdering Medicaid and gutting the Affordable Care Act, by the end of next year, 17 million people will not have access to health care in this country. They are so they are so determined to blame the poor for their impoverished predicament that they are presenting this bill that kills, this lethal legislation, and some 5 million people will no longer have access to SNAP. They are cutting services for veterans while adding to the military budget. Wait, what? I got to go back and grab you, because the veterans who served in the military are losing resources while they are spending more money on weaponry because of militarism and the madness of militarism in this country. And my sisters and brothers, here is what a group of us did, led by activist attorney, the brilliant Angela Rye. She has organized the State of the People gospel movement where we've been going around the country targeting cities to organize and serve communities that are underserved. And then, my sisters and brothers, this week we had a marathon, watch this, streaming session where we were educating the public about the badness of this bill, the ugly consequences and the racist ramifications of this bill. And right before I got on, attorney and preacher gets on, and she says, Monique Presley says, we ought to have a time of prayer. I came on and said, black folk have always understood the connection between policy and prayer. Let's have a prayer session for an hour. After all, Jesus said, could you not tarry 1 hour? We prayed at midnight, from midnight to 1 o'clock, believing that God would come through. And then, my sisters and brothers, sadly, sinfully, shamefully, the bill got passed. The bill got passed, and I cannot lie, at that moment I wondered, how is it that wrong and wickedness keep winning? How is it that injustice somehow is on the throne and justice is on the scaffold? It made me upset. It made me wonder with the psalmist, God, I know that you're good, but your goodness doesn't seem to be showing up in dealing with bad people. I think I'll stop right there, because if I'm God, here's what I do. I wipe out all the bad folk. If I'm God, here's what I do. I make sure the bad folk, they get what's coming to them immediately, if not sooner. It seems like God just takes God's time. Y'all can judge me all you want to. I'm just letting you know there are some people on my list that I'd like to say, God, get them right now. Don't wait another moment. Go ahead and handle your judgment business, y'all. But God doesn't work like that. God has a way of just standing back and watching injustice take place. And if you're not careful, it will discourage you. If you're not careful, it will cause you to lose heart. Is that not the interesting word used by our sable-skinned Savior and sagacious storyteller from the streets, Jesus of Nazareth, in the gospel according to Luke chapter 18? Look what he says in verse 1. And he spoke a parable unto them, because he wanted to teach us, watch this, how we should pray always and not get discouraged. And the word right there for discouragement means to lose heart. Can I park right there? It has to do with losing the totality of your internality. It has to do with you not having anything left on the inside as a result of what's happening in the world around you. And every now and then, y'all, I get so discouraged. I lose heart. I'm weak on the inside. I'm broken on the inside. Yeah, you do know the Hebrew word for discouragement. It means shattered internally, because whenever you get discouraged, you are broken on the inside. Whenever you are discouraged, you can tend to lose heart. And every now and then, no matter how big your Bible is, how long you've been going to church, we get discouraged. Every now and then we wonder if we can keep going on. Every now and then we find ourselves running on empty. And when you're running on empty and there's no exit sign, you're running on empty. There's no sign of a gas station anywhere close, and somebody is checking in right now, and I'm at your address because here it is. You're running on empty, and there are no exit signs. There is no filling station any place close. Jesus said in this parable, he spoke, he said, I want you to always pray and not give up.
The leaders of this nation, who all claim to be Christian, committed the most un-Christlike things since slavery. They have kicked 17 million Americans off health care, and 653,000 of them live in Georgia. They cut $186 billion off of food assistance from families and eliminated free lunch from children. Clutch your pearls, you ain't gonna believe it. Reach for your asthma pump. Everybody's electric bill will be going up by $168 a month. And at the same time, they're giving a $1 trillion tax cut for billionaires. Not to mention, over the last week, they have left 500,000 Haitians unprotected. A congresswoman in Minnesota was murdered, as was her husband, in their home by somebody who was a professed evangelical Christian Trumpite. And President Trump did not go to the funeral. He went to play golf instead of paying respects. There are in America 800 billionaires. That's it. 800 billionaires who benefit from the big, beautiful bill, where contrarily, there are 340 million who will suffer. What they don't understand, or what you don't understand, is the majority of those on SNAP, the majority of those collecting food stamps are white people. But they hate minorities so much that they will injure themselves just thinking they are punishing us. 435 hospitals will close in rural areas. They cannot even give an estimate of how many people will die in the first 3 years because of the absence of Medicare, Medicaid, and the closing of hospitals. They have opened up in broad daylight alligator Alcatraz that is fit for canines to house immigrants, while white evangelical churches have said nothing about any of it.
This is exactly what pastors should be doing across the country as to how they inform their congregations. Morgan, you first.
Yeah, a couple of points. I mean, one, I think it's important to continue to call out the impacts of the Trump administration's policies. And I appreciate that all of the pastors, it sounded like, had done their homework and were able to point to specific impacts and some of the numbers around that, like how much electricity bills are going to go up, for example. But I think we also need to keep in mind that we have limited ability to influence what happens with the Trump administration. Best case scenario, we lead him to roll back a little bit, something that he might have been thinking of doing, or present an alternative that's less bad. But I don't see a turnaround for the Trump administration that suddenly they care deeply about the advancement of Black people, right? So that's the second point. The third point then is, so then what should we spend our time doing? And I want to come back to what Andrew was talking about with Jasmine Crockett. The fact that Jasmine Crockett did not get that over, the seat was to be the ranking member on the House Oversight Committee, right? That she didn't get that as one of the most popular Democrats in the country, as one of the most effective young Black congresspeople communicating out there during this Trump administration, pushing back, because oversight is about pushing back on the administration, and you're only ranking member, so Democrats don't even have power. Why was that? And we should talk about that. And is there something that these pastors can be doing to call that out, to really start to move the decision-making that's happening within the Democratic Party that is not elevating our most talented people? That's a problem. Because how are we affirmatively going to regain power away from Donald Trump or whoever is going to succeed him, should he be forced likely to step down, but we don't know what's coming there? How are we going to be in a position to have a message that will actually make people want to pay attention? And that's the other point I wanted to come back to from our earlier conversation. I agree. The ecosystem is out there. Roland, you have built an amazing one, an amazing platform for all of us to plug into. I'm grateful for that. There are other podcasts that are out there. But the issue is, if you're going to come on these platforms as an elected official, what are you going to be talking about? And is it anything that anybody cares to be hearing about? And not just people that already care about politics, but the people we need to start showing up that generally are disgusted with what they've seen to date, right? That are not happy about how things are going, not just because of Donald Trump, but because of every other aspect of their lives as well. So that's what I really think we need to be focused on is what are those villains? What are the problems? What are our solutions? Because if we just spend another 3 years pointing out everything that is bad with Donald Trump, and Elon Musk is saying he's starting a new political party, well, I don't know that that's going to be enough. And I am very, very worried about that.
I agree, but I do believe it's important to, and I say this all the time, Andrew, and I say it repeatedly. A year, 18 months before an election, we must be in what I call an inform, educate, and enlighten stage. I think we have to raise the ire of people. We have to make plain what they are doing to get people pissed off enough to turn out. And so I hope that these preachers and others are using their sermons every single Sunday between now and the beginning of the primaries for the midterm election to do this, because we're going to need a massive turnout. Democrats just need to win 5 House seats to control the House. That's the target goal. They have to defend the Senate seat in Georgia. They can win the Senate seat in North Carolina. We'll see what happens with Susan Collins in Maine. But I do think a lot of people don't know those details, and spelling it out, I think, is crucial. And if that pisses people off, great.
And thank you for that, Roland. And one of the things about this badly built bill that I want to highlight is what it's going to do to higher education. Right now, that bill has a cap on $20,000 for a master's degree, $50,000 for law school and a medical degree. We already have a doctor shortage. So think about the 17-year-olds who have their whole life ahead of them. They're getting ready to graduate high school and go to college. And you know these concepts. Howard University Law School is about $40,000 to go to. You have a bill that's coming out that's going to say, look, the federal government is only going to give you maybe $20,000 if you want to finish, if you want to go past your undergraduate degree, maybe $50,000 if you want to get a law degree or a medical degree. But the limit that it's going to put on them is going to force them not finish their education, because they're going to start it, but they're going to have to find other ways to fund it. Where are they going to go? To the private sector, where right now credit card interest rates are completely out of control. And those credit card companies are going to take full advantage because they're going to give those loans. And they're going to give those loans with the promise that right now we're already paying a lifetime of student loans. With the privatized loans, you're going to be paying for your lifetime, for your grandchildren's lifetime, for your great-grandchildren's lifetime. You're going to see communities, and this is just not a Black issue. This is why it's so important, because it's not a Black issue. It's an American issue. One of the preachers said that there's 800 billionaires in America that right now are setting the tone that are going to be benefiting from this bill. Everyone else, to some extent, we're going to win, but mostly we're going to lose, because we're all going to have to saddle and burden the debt. Who is going to be able to afford to buy real estate in 5 years after this bill is up, after they have so much credit card debt that they can't pay their credit score is in the tank? They can't even afford to lease.
Right.
Who's going to be able to shoulder that? It's going to be the 40 and the 50-year-olds. the 30-year-olds.
Right. Congo.
And it's just going to be a sad situation for America.
Well, my concern is that, we talk about what Democrats need to be doing. Jasmine Crockett was brought up, but the fact of the matter is, because of how she's been treated, she's leaving the national scene and going back to the grassroots. I'm looking at how Democrats have not embraced Zohran Mamdani's political stances on particular issues. Again, somebody who built a grassroots campaign. And so we're talking about Democrats not taking advantage of the ecosystem. And we're also seeing how they're not fully embracing the younger Democrats who are reaching more people. The three pastors who just spoke, they are speaking to people who need to be brought back into the fold. They are speaking to the potential non-voter who decided to stay home and now has to realize that they have an opportunity maybe to make up for that in the next year with the midterms, make up for some of that. And lastly, when it comes to Donald Trump has been known to back down when challenged at a hard enough level. And whether we're talking about tariffs, whether we're talking about his first administration and the child policies and cages that he changed after he saw some of the videos. So we can never not let up as it relates to continuing to challenge that. And so I feel like with these pastors, like you said, we need to see more of that. With engaging the Democrats who are newer with greater ideas to reach more people and continuing to confront Trump, all is not lost, and we can make some serious gains between now and the midterms.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.